Okay, welcome everyone to my talk. Very happy to be here at this conference, GrowIT. I think it's a great event. The talks I've seen it yesterday and also the talks today. I think they're doing a great job on blending developers, on looking on what developers can do to increase their value, on how to learn, how to get better in the work that they do, but also doing a great job on looking on how all the stuff that's happening out there in the world on Agile, on different ways of software development can actually be beneficial to developers. So I think it's a great environment and I'm very happy to be here. What I'd like to zoom in my talk is to look at team working, to look at how teams, and specifically Agile teams, can help people to do a better job at work. What would be the role for a developer to be in a team? What makes it work? What doesn't make it work? And I'm also going to exploring the management side on teams. That's why I have the subtitle in here on how to manage teams or how to not manage teams. Because I think in a lot of situations, it's not about what managers are doing, it's about what they should not be doing, which could actually be a bigger help to teams. A little about me, most of the time I do training and advisory to organizations, referring to the morning talk. I don't think I do any consultancy anymore, so if you need somebody to sell Agile in your organization, there's lots of people out there. Don't ask me, I'm not selling stuff, all the stuff is there on my website. But if you need somebody to really help you to increase your agility in your organization, to really get the good stuff out of there, that's where I can be of help. There's also a lot of tools that I've developed over the years, like books, like Agile coaching tools, which are also available if you want to take a look at that. So let's start with a definition of management. And I actually looked at several definitions, and this is what I found is what most people view of management right now. So it's the process of dealing with people. It's the process of dealing, controlling things. That's how management is often viewed in there. And I think if this is the definition of management that is prevailing in a lot of organizations, I'm afraid that is still the case because this is basically what managers have been told to do in their organization. This is how they've been taught and this is what they expect to act as a manager. Not that much as they believe themselves, but also because their managers tell them to act this way as a manager. This is the expectation of management in the organization. Well, I'm really wondering if this kind of management would help organizations, if this would help the people in the organization to get any further. And I think the answer to that is this. Most often it does not. I think in a lot of organizations what I actually see is that managers are driving people crazy. The stuff that they are doing is not really helping developers to do a better job. And instead of blaming the managers, and instead of being worried about this, I think the thing is to look at what can we do differently to get to a better situation, because that's also what I believe that managers would like to see happening in the organization. They're not happy with this situation either, so they're also looking for different ways to do this in organizations. Let's first start exploring on what's an Agile team and what's the expectation that at least I have from an Agile team in an organization. And my definition of an Agile team is people working together to deliver value to the users of their products and services and to their stakeholders. It's people working together. It's not a group, it's really working together on a daily basis. And why are they working together? Because they want to deliver something. So actually by working together in a team, they can do more stuff than by working individually. So that togetherness is a very important part in there. What are the customers? Well, I think it's two ways. It's the users, customers of the stuff that they are delivering. So if they are delivering a product or a service, then they are doing that to satisfy the needs of the users of their products, the customers that are actually buying their products. But the other thing that they also have to look at are the stakeholders in the organization. I see management as one of the stakeholders in there. So it's not just enough to deliver the products. You also have to think about their role in the organization as a whole. The key denominators of Agile teams, where I see where Agile teams are really making a difference in there, is that Agile teams are self-organized, so they are able to do their work, they're able to define how they want to do their work. They can organize stuff in there, and they know how to get stuff done in there, instead of having somebody telling them how to do their work. I think that's also the big difference what we see coming from Agile. They are delivering value, so they're delivering something that actually has value to the customers, to the users of the system. They're not just coming in to do a job, not just coming in to do their work, and then, okay, I contributed my part, and now I'm ready. They should have a focus as a whole, as a team, to deliver something that actually has value in the organization. And it is collaborative. It's not something that they do individually, it's something that they do together. So it's people together in that group, also focusing on how can we help each other, how can we support each other, what are the things that we can do together to deliver something that will actually give value to the users, to the customers of our system. And also, since they are self-organized, it means that they also need to be learning, they need to see how they are doing, reflecting on their way of working, reflecting on how things are going, and adapting their way of working. If you're in a self-organized team, there's not going to be any manager, anybody outside the team telling you what to do or how to do it. Being self-organized means that you're also responsible for your way of working. You're responsible for the result you deliver, but you're also responsible for the way how you are doing your work. And these things actually pretty much resonate with the Agile Manifesto. If you look at being self-organized, it has to do with individuals and interactions. It has to do with how you're working together instead of being focused on any process. If you look at delivering value, working software, delivering a product that users actually need. So you want to be delivering value as a team. So there's a direct link between the things that I think are important for an Agile team and the stuff which is there in the Agile Manifesto, which is the values which guideline us for an Agile way of working. I'm not sure what happened now. Now I'm back. Okay, if we look at team working, I think there's a couple of things which are really important there for teams to really work in the best way that they can do. I think one of them is purpose. It's very important for teams to know why they are there. What's the purpose? What's the expectations that people have from the team? What's the value that they are expected to deliver to their customers, to their users? I think safety is very important. People in a team need to feel safe, need to feel comfortable within the team, need to feel comfortable enough to speak up, to work together, to see tell whatever is bothering them. So safety is a very important aspect of teams to work. And the third part in there is autonomy. Teams need to be autonomous enough to be able to deliver something to their customers and users. And autonomy always comes within boundaries. No team has full flexibility, has able to decide everything. There's always some kind of boundaries in which you're going to be functioning as a team. So I think that the important thing is there to know your boundaries, to know what's the flexibility that you have as a team, what's the things that you can decide upon, and where do you get to the edge on where you would need to consult with the management, with other people in your organization, to see if things would be possible or not. But these are key aspects for a team to work in the organization. Let's look at the reasons why people hate working in teams. And I think you may recognize some of the stuff in there, what I've heard from people, why they don't want to work in teams. Well, one of the things is, okay, unfair workload, meaning that, okay, I'm in a team, but it looks like I have to do all the stuff in there, and my other colleagues are slacking off, they're not doing the work. So it's unfair how the work is being distributed in there. That's why people say, okay, I don't want to work in a team because I'm just getting all trouble and all stuff in there. It's hard working together with other people. It's difficult to work with other colleagues. There's colleagues where I can get along. There's people where I can't get along in there. And I have to work with people which I don't really like. So I don't want to work in a team because I don't want to work with that guy. That's the kind of excuses that I see people bringing up if they're working in a team together. Slow down, my colleagues. I know how to do stuff. other people in my team don't know how to do it. I have to work together with them, and they're actually slowing me down. So I don't want to work in a team because I can be much more productive if I work individually. And these are the kind of things that people will bring up. Not getting credits. Okay, I'm doing great stuff in the team, but nobody sees it. These are all the kind of reasons that I see happening why people say, I don't want to work in teams. And they're also using these kind of reasons to say, I don't want to work Agile. Because Agile is assuming that I need to work in a team. And I don't want to work in a team, so I don't want to work Agile. So this is not working for me. Let me just do my work individually, and then everything will work out fine. Well, let's take a look at the reasons why people hate working together. And they're actually the same reasons. It's the same reasons why people don't want to work together with other people. It's the same stuff which pops up in there. Again, it's the unfair workload. It's too much unclearness. Like, I don't know what I need to be doing. I don't know what my colleagues are doing in there. So the same reasons why people don't want to work together is the same reasons that people are bringing up why they don't want to work in teams. And what this actually means is that the problems that we are having with teams right now, and the problems that I see in a lot of organizations who are adopting Agile, they are not new problems. They've been there all along. People find it difficult to work together. There's stuff related to that that makes it difficult to do things together. And that is not a new thing. The only thing that Agile and that Agile transformations are doing in organizations right now is actually bringing this to the surface. But if you really ask in the organization, then people will know this already. They already knew that they had problems working together on stuff. They already knew that it was difficult to work with other colleagues. They didn't want to work with some of them, that they were being slowed down by colleagues. So all the problems were there already. But right now, Agile is bringing them to the surface. Agile is bringing out the elephant in the room. And now it's clear that we need to deal with that. So you can think like, okay, I'm a developer, I don't want to work together, let's just put me on a nice tropical island, give me my laptop, and I start working in there, and I can do my stuff. Well, I don't think it's going to work that way. There's no way that you can do stuff individually anymore. There's no stuff that can be done by one person alone, be it in an organization, be it individually as a consultant. You need to work together with people in there. And even if you think like, okay, I'm going to be on an island and just give me my laptop and I'm going to do my work, big chance that people are going to find a way to get to your island. Certainly if it's a nice island, they want to go there, so they're going to catch a plane or they're going to catch an helicopter or maybe even a submarine to go there, but they want to go to that island and they want to be there and they're going to be bothering you. And even if you can block out all traffic to the island, well, if you're doing some work on there, you probably got some Wi-Fi connection. So they're going to be bothering you anyway. Maybe not physically, but they're going to be bothering you, chatting to you, they're going to be sending you email. So forget about working alone, forget about working in isolation, because let's face it, you can't do it alone anymore. We can't do it alone anymore. We need to work with people to deliver something to our customers. We need to work together to deliver value to customers and to users. There's no way that you can do this individually anymore. So let's accept the fact, let's face it, and then let's find a way to get better in working together instead of fighting this, because it's not going to solve the problem. So, okay, accepting the fact that you want to work together, so why would you want to work in a team? What's in it for me if I work in a team? Well, I think one of the main reasons to work in a team, whether it's Agile or not, I don't think that's really important there. One of the main reasons is that you can get much more done together if you work with people instead of working individually. The sum of working together in a team is more than the individual part. If you work together, if you bring knowledge together in a team, if you help each other in a team, you can get much more stuff done, and you can get stuff done in a better way. You can simply deliver more value if you work together. And that is actually also rewarding for you as an individual person. If you are in a team, if you can accomplish something together with the people that you are working with, you can make a product, you can make new functionality, you can ship it out to the door, you can show it to your customers, you're getting feedback on how this value is perceived by the users of your system. That's going to be rewarding for you, not only as a team, but also individually. So it makes sense to work together and get more stuff done. And it will also help you to get credit. And I actually believe that in a lot of situations, it's much easier if you're in a team to get credit as a team for the stuff that you have delivered, than to get credit individually. I think there's still a barrier in a lot of organizations to give individual credit to people. A lot of managers are worried about that. Should I tell somebody that I did a good job? Yeah, well, how would other people perceive that? If you did a good job as a team, if you deliver something that your customers really value, it's much easier for managers in the organization, for people in the organization, to credit the team. This team did good stuff. This team really delivers some value in there. This product that the team has delivered to our users is very good, and people are really happy about this. So being in a team actually increases the chance of getting credit for the stuff that you are doing. If you're in a team, and this is again where the safety also comes back, it's much easier to give help to somebody and to get help. You know the people that you're working with on a daily basis. That makes it much easier to reach out to somebody if you see if somebody is having problems in your team and say, well, I can help you with it. I can offer you some help. And also the other way around, if you're struggling with something, if you need to do something new and you don't know how to do it, it's much easier if you know the people that you're working with on a daily basis to ask for help, to ask somebody to tell you how to do this. How can I do this? How can you help me with that? So getting help in a team is much easier than when you're working individually. And that's also a way to learn from each other. And I think several ways of learning from each other, well, you mentioned things like mob programming and pair programming are very great ways to learn from each other, but there are many different ways to learn in a team. And again, because the relationship is there, it's a lot easier for people to ask for help, but also to ask, okay, I want to learn something new. Can you help with that? Can we try this out? I think teams are giving camaraderie. They're really giving you a sense of belonging. People feel much better in a team. They feel like we belong to something and we are doing something together. And that makes people feel a lot happier in there. So I think that's a good reason to also be in a team. And it also increases your work satisfaction. I think it's also a sum up from the whole stuff in there. Getting more done, getting help if you need it. All together, you can do much more stuff. And that is making people much more happy in there. So what are the benefits of being in an Agile team? And this is where Agile, I think, is actually making teams even stronger. Agile, going back to the Agile values and the Agile principles from the Agile manifesto. Not that much Scrum or any other specific Agile method, but much more going back to the original values of the system. I think if you have a really good Agile team, then it's a way to get rid of micromanagement. You're managing your own work. You're managing how you work together in a team. People are taking their individual responsibility on how they're doing stuff. They're working together with colleagues in a team. And if you do that in a good way, then you don't need anybody else to tell you what to do. So it's actually a way to get rid of micromanagement. And this is also a problem that is bugging a lot of teams that are making a transition to Agile, because initially there's a big chance that managers will still be dropping in, telling people what to do, because that's basically the expectation that is there from managers. We have to tell our people what to do. We have to tell our people on what to focus upon. And if you're really getting stronger and stronger as a team, as an Agile team working together towards a purpose, there's going to be less micromanagement. Okay, nobody wants micromanagement, so getting into a good Agile team is actually a way to get rid of this. I think a big benefit also of Agile teams is looking at the sustainable pace. So it's removing individual pressure, it's removing team pressure, because if you can really get into this sustainable pace, knowing what you actually can deliver, what you can deliver every sprint or every week, depending on what Agile method that you were using, then there's going to be less pressure on you to deliver stuff because you can actually tell what you're going to be delivering and you can make some estimations on how much people can expect from you as a team. And then you're going into a different level on things like planning. Instead of putting pressure on people on what to deliver, you can actually do much better estimations on how much stuff will be there 2 or 3 sprints from now. And instead of discussing on how much stuff to put in, you can start discussing about priorities. What's the most important stuff right now? What's the stuff that you want to get out in the next sprint? Let's focus on that instead of increasing pressure on the team, because that's not going to be helpful. If you're a strong team, I think you can also limit a lot of the outside interference, because this interference is something that you can stand up as a team, that you can stand up together. What I see with new teams is this is something that they expect their Scrum Master to do. If somebody is interfering in the outside to the team, then they expect the Scrum Master to pick it up and to react to that. If teams are getting more mature, then you will actually see that this is shifting from the Scrum Master alone to the whole team. It's the whole team who is reacting to outside interference. And actually, instead of blocking it, they will be looking much more on ways to channel this interference. Like, okay, you think that something is important that we should work on as a team? Great, we'd love to hear that. But let's discuss it together with our product owner to see where we should change priorities. And then we can take it in. So instead of telling people individually in the team that they should be working on something else, let's use the mechanism that we have as a team, working together on our planning, working together with our product owner to set priorities, and use those mechanisms to get the right stuff done. And that's the kind of things where I think that Agile teams will be very helpful to the individual persons in the team. Again, relieving the pressure and getting much more work done because you're not going to be bothered by a lot of things during your work. I think the structure of Agile teams, and this is also where a lot of the Agile tools which are there can help you to give more clearness. You know what to do, you know what's the kind of work, you know what's the value that you expect to deliver next week or week after that. You know what's going to be there later. So it makes it a lot easier for you to focus on the work you're doing right now. If there's something unclear, you know where to go. The roles are there in the team, you know what to expect from each other, you know each other, it's a safe environment to work together. So if anything is unclear, you can raise it, you can deal with that, instead of just working individually. Work on it together and solve problems in this way as much as you can. And I think Agile teams are also improving communication. They're doing this with the structure, with the Agile values which are there. We're actually encouraging people to communicate with each other and improve communications. But I think it's also a thing that you will learn very quickly if you start working in Agile way, because communication problems are going to pop up. The sooner they pop up, the sooner you start to work on them, start to deal with them, the better you're going to get in your communication, in your team, and also to the outside world. So it's the mechanism again to make these communication problems visible, to deal with them, that will help you to work together better. And in the end, it's all about better results. If you work together as an Agile team, you can do more, and the results going to be better. So what are the things that you can do in an organization if you really want to get teamwork coming? And this is more relating to management in the organization, Agile coaches, people who are looking for a way to increase the agility of your organization. I think one of the strong things that I've seen in organizations who really wants to go towards Agile and get the benefit out of Agile teams is to really set up stable teams. So instead of moving people on the work, planning a project and then assigning the work to people, set up teams in your organization and start organizing the work in such a way that it can be moved to the teams in the organization, ensuring that these teams are stable. The same people are in there, not changing people every couple of weeks in the teams or trying to manage work over the teams. If you have stable teams, you're giving space to these teams to develop themselves. You're giving people the opportunity to work together. You're giving those teams the opportunity to reflect and to learn and to get better in the things that they are doing. And what you actually will see, and I saw this in organizations where I work with this, if you're giving these teams the possibility to do this, and they are learning on how to reflect and how to improve their way of working inside teams, you're actually also creating a team working capability which is much stronger than just that one team. If people learn these skills to reflect, if they learn how to better communicate with each other, they also get better in setting up new teams. So they can set up an individual team very quickly. I've seen organizations which can form a team within a couple of days. You bring the people together, you make clear what's the purpose of that, and actually after 2 or 3 days are really intensively working together as a team already. They're focused on the result, they know how to do it, they know how to organize themselves as a team, and they get stuff done really quickly. And if you need to disband them after a couple of weeks and form a new team for a different assignment, you can do that. So by first focusing on stable teams and giving people the means to create those teams and develop those skills, you're creating skills that is making the organization as a whole much more flexible. Another thing I've seen in teams is to really enable diversity. So being focused on having people with diverse skills in theirs, diversity, not only being male, female, but much more qualities of diversity in there. Having diverse thinking in your teams as a possibility to solve problems and to increase the power of your teams. And there's actually a limit to this. If you create enough diversity in team, they can do magic. If there's too much diversity in team, they don't get anything done anymore. If there's too much diversity, the people can't really relate to each other anymore in the team. They're getting past that point. But in most organizations right now, diversity is often too little. So by increasing the diversity, you can actually get much more done in teams. And I think the other thing is to design your organization for improvement. And the most easiest thing that you can do actually in an organization is make space for improvement. Giving people room to think about this. Provide them some of the tools or some of the means in there on how to do it. There might be some basic training on, for instance, Agile retrospectives so people know how to do this stuff. I've seen organizations who said, okay, we'd like the teams to do the retrospectives. We don't need to know the outcome. The only thing that we want to see is that they're actually doing this. The only thing we want to see is that they're taking time every week or every 2 weeks to learn and to see what's happening in the team and to find those improvements. And I don't care about which improvement, because the team will find which improvements are important for them. And I don't need to decide about that. So what can you do, except for these means to set up the organization for teamwork, to really create a teamwork culture, to do a kind of culture change in your organization that will really flourish the teams in your organization? I think it's one thing is guiding self-organization, so making really clear that teams have the means to decide about how they want to do their work, also have the responsibility to think about how they are doing their work in there. And I know in a lot of organizations this is actually still a challenging thought about, okay, how does self-organization really look? And the basic point is, if you really think about self-organization, then you're giving teams the space to think how to do about that, and you don't care about the outcome. Whatever comes out of this self-organization process is the thing that the team needs right now. And I've actually seen organizations that really gave space to self-organization, and the things which came out of there initially was, okay, but we're a new team and we're going to need a lot of guidance, so we still need a very hierarchical construction in our team to decide about how to do our work. And then Agile coaches started interfering like, okay, but the hierarchical structure, that's not the way to work in an Agile team, and we want you to do it differently. If you're setting up for self-organization, accept whatever comes out of a team as a way that they want to do their work right now, provided that there is some kind of feedback cycle where they will check how things are going, learn from that cycle to improve. Because then the team will find out what's working for them, what's not working for them. If they start off hierarchically, they start doing retrospective, they see how things are working and where it's not working, there's a big chance that they will change their way of working along the way because they will learn what's working and what's not working for them. And this is basically what self-organization is all about. So if self-organization doesn't deliver the structure that you initially suspected to come out of that, that's your problem, not the team problem. Whatever comes out of that is what's most important for the team right now. Stimulate collaboration, both inside the team but also outside the team. Facilitate it, enable it. If people in the team want to talk with people in other parts of the organization, if there's an interfacing problem, if there's any silos, offer your help as a manager to break them down. Do whatever you can do for teams to make it easier to communicate with each other. And I think also one thing in there is to look at the way that you're leading the organization right now. There are a lot of new ways, new streams in leadership in there. To mention some of them, sociocracy is one of them, which a lot of organizations are looking at right now. So there's different ways to organize leadership in your organization, also moving from management to leadership. I think these are the things that can help you to really create a team working culture in your organization. And last but not least, be an example. One way to be an example is to think about how can we work as managers in a team? How can we learn from each other? What can we do to reflect how things are going and to improve our way of working? So by adapting the Agile values as a manager, applying them to your situation, being an example, telling teams like, yeah, we're also doing retrospective because they also help us to learn and to improve. Makes it a lot easier for teams to do the same stuff in there. Okay, so what if team working doesn't work? Well, the answer is quite easy. If it doesn't work, and this is probably going to happen when you're moving to team working and moving to Agile teams, bring it up. Reflect on how things are going, reflect on the problems which are there, encourage people to speak up about the problems which are there and look for a way to solve them. But please also encourage people to speak up about the stuff which is going well. Don't focus only on the problems, also focus on the good stuff. Even if it's just a small thing, the sooner you start rewarding good behavior in your organization, pointing it out, making it visible, the better you will get into this improvement cycle of improving the stuff and using the strengths that you have already to solve other problems in there. So don't just focus on problems. Please also look at the good stuff, point it out, and use that as a means to improve it. You're going to be working on team working skills. That's going to pop out if you start reflecting on stuff. And it might also be useful to get some team coaching in there. At the end, I think it's good to have this kind of coaching functionality within your team or between teams. So teams coaching each other. I think a great way to do this is Scrum Masters learning from each other and coaching each other on how they are helping their teams. As a Scrum Master is more or less acting as a coach for the team. So if Scrum Masters start to learn from each other and help each other, also Scrum Masters getting into another team, for instance, to do a retrospective, to facilitate the retrospective, there can be great ways to encourage this kind of learning culture in your organization. One big advice that I want to give to managers: don't call your people resources. People are not resources. People are real human beings. Thank you. And this is a kind of different mindset, different kind of thinking, which I think is really laying a foundation for a lot of the change in the organization. So don't talk about resources, talk about people. It's one of the main reasons on how to not manage Agile teams. The other ones being, stop micromanaging your team, stop telling people what to do. Trust the team that the right thing will happen in there. Stop putting pressure on teams, stop putting pressure on deadlines. And this is actually what I also have to tell to teams, like don't pressure yourselves. I see a lot of new teams who are focused on the project that they are working in, looking at the deadline 6 months from now and saying, okay, looks like we can't meet that deadline. Don't care about the deadline as a team. Care about the stuff that you're doing right now. If you do the best you can, you're going to be delivering the most value in your project at the end. And when you're focusing on the deadline and putting pressure on yourself, that's not going to help you. And the same is true for managers. Stop putting pressure on your team. Give them space to do their work. And the main reason, don't be a jerk. And if you want to know if you're perceived as a jerk or not, ask your team. Ask the people. That's the easiest way to find out if they think you're acting as a jerk or not. And sometimes you may be, okay, but ask them and ask them to reflect. So what can you do to manage teams? Well, reflecting to this morning's presentation from Andrea, listen. Truly listen to your team. Try to understand what your teams need. Try to understand what the people need in your team and help them to collaborate. Trust your people. People are there to do the best they can and trust that the outcome will be the best that will come out of this. And this is again where retrospectives come in as a tool to improve this way of working. Give your people what they need. Some would call it attend to folks' needs. So if people say this is the kind of stuff that would help us to do our work better, be it having the possibility to work together on Ruby, co-located, be it tools, being shielded from some outside interference, whatever that is bothering your team right now. If they come to you and they ask for help, they already took a big step to dare to step up and to come to you to ask for that. So don't put any barriers in there. Help them to do this. Even if you think that it might not be the best thing for the team. Do it, help the team to find out what's working or not. In the end, it's going to work much better than trying to judge whatever the team is asking for. Don't judge it, do it and help them. Reward team results over individual results. So reward the team for working together, to getting a delivery together instead of rewarding individual people in there. And in some organizations, you still need to drive out fear, drive out any unsafety that's there in the organizations. Make sure that people feel safe enough to speak up and to work together. Okay, well, one last thing. We talked about people being resources. The same is true the other way around. Managers are also people, so they also come to work to do a good job. They come over there to do the best they can. Keep this in mind when you're talking to your management. They're not management, they're not them. They're people, and they also want to do a good job. Thank you. Okay, I think we still have some time for questions. So, who has a question?
What do you think about the grand retrospective idea that Lemmy mentioned yesterday?
I think it's actually a great idea. I think retrospectives should be complementary, so you can do them on a team level as a great practice to learn as a team, but you can also do them on a project level or at an organizational level. And a different level of retrospectives will bring up different topics. You also need a different setting for that. There's a lot of mechanisms to do large-scale retrospectives and to bring up topics in there. So I think they are an addition to the retrospectives that teams are doing, and I highly encourage organizations to do this. Don't try to do them every week or every 2 weeks, but take time to do them on a regular basis because they can be really helpful. Okay, other questions? There's a question over there.
Hi. So I was thinking if you have any advice on how to give some structure to the team, include some processes, but not to suffocate the team with the processes.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I prefer to do if you look at processes is to, instead of pushing processes on the team, if you're working with them as a manager or a coach, to much more work in a pool base. So listen to your team on how they are doing right now. Ask them what's the problems that they are facing right now, and then look for solutions to do that. And there's a lot of stuff out there in the Agile world which is helping teams to work together. But instead of pushing the whole way of Scrum working on a team from day one, like, okay, this is how you need to do it, bring in stuff on a need-by base. when the team thinks like, okay, we need something to help us with that, any ideas on that, then bring it in. So pull-based change instead of push-based change.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, if there's no more questions, again, thank you for being here. The slides going to be available on my website. I'm also going to post them on SlideShare. There's lots of links in there also to additional materials, so if you want to dig deeper, go ahead. If you want to connect with me, questions, whatever, discuss this stuff with me, I'm very approachable, what I've heard from people. So if you want to do this, please reach out. I'm happy to discuss this stuff with you and to share my ideas and also to hear from others how they are doing. So really happy to do that. Thank you very much.